Hey everybody, it's Johan Hyde, and I'm back with a little bit different of a video today. This is not a turn. This is actually kind of a recap of the situations that led to this incredible victory at sea near Colombo. So I read a lot of comments that I got on the last turn video, and people were pretty critical of Macho. I wouldn't say disrespectful, but definitely like, why would he do that? That's so dumb, blah blah blah. Okay, that's fine, but I don't know if you guys are really understanding the catch-22 that he put himself into here. It was a dire situation, and he did not have a lot of options. But before we actually look at what his options were, let's kind of set the stage to what brought us to that point. So, if you're looking at this, this is actually the status of the map on April 7th, right? The battle was on April 28th that we just had. This is 21 days prior. And this is why you always save your turns, guys. I keep a 30-day reserve of turns so I can go back and look at stuff. So I'm glad we have this. So here's the situation at the time. I had basically two divisions, right? And I had two armor regiments on Ceylon. That's what I had going into here. And initially I thought this is enough force to take out whatever garrison troops that he had here. He doesn't have that much, a couple hundred AV. This is clear terrain, it shouldn't be a big deal. So that's all I initially brought, guys. And I did have Kido Butai kind of hanging out here, just to support everything, but that's really it. And in India, on the other hand, I had a huge presence there. Now, if you take a look at what I had there, I had one, two, three divisions here with two armor regiments. Another division there, 3 or 4 divisions here. So I had about 8 to 9, what is it, 8 or 9 divisions, and basically all of my armor in India. So this was a huge commitment, because initially the plan was for me to go and take all these bases and take Calcutta and permanently seal off this Bengal area. But as soon as I got in there, I realized through my recon and everything that the Allies had a lot more here than what I thought they could have had, right? They had at least a couple American infantry divisions or more, multiple armor regiments. Look at these troop numbers here, guys. 60,000 troops, 50,000 troops, 30,000 troops, armor, you name it. He had everything here, and it was going to be like a disaster trying to get into Calcutta like that, because on top of that, almost all of his 4-engine bombers were here in India with massive fighter pools of 200-300 fighters that we spotted in this area. So I realized really quickly that this was not going to work. But Macho didn't know that I was thinking that. Like, I got in here, and again, it was a massive effort, and I kind of wish I had never done it in hindsight. We would have been better off if we hadn't, but now that I'm looking at it, maybe this was a good thing, because it was the biggest bait and switch you can think of. He knew I had 4,000 to 5,000 AV here, pushing towards Calcutta, and he knew that I was kind of weak here. So here's what he did. He relocated troops over to Cochin, and he decided, we can win here. Let's defeat the Japanese and kind of do the Uno reverse card on him. So this is what brought us to this turn here, the April 7th disposition, where I found out that he had multiple transport units in the Hex with battleships, light cruisers, everything coming in to support this. He put everything into this, guys. About 10, 12 battleships, cruisers, dozens of transports. So this was the turn that I decided, oh, that's what's happening here. He thinks that we're strong here and weak here. So he's going to shift forces onto Ceylon and win this and just hold us here. Okay? That's what was going through his mind on April 6th, April 7th. That I was too weak here and I was too strong here, and it was going to be almost impossible for me to get all these troops over here. Like, he was thinking, why would I do that? Why would I, after all the weeks I took to get them here, why would I pull them out and shift them back? So his gamble was that I can get strong here, bring in 3 of my very best divisions, defeat the Japanese on this island, and just flip it back on them. Okay, so that is what happened here. Now, I'm going to pause the video, and we're going to go back to more or less the turn prior to the big battle that you saw. Wait 1 second here. Okay, so we're back. This is now the 28th of April on the eve of our big battle. And this is the situation that we have now. Despite Macho thinking otherwise, or maybe in complete shock, we have basically fully retreated out of India, and I brought over the bulk of the divisions over to Ceylon, and a couple went down over to Rangoon to assist with this stuff here, right? And to kind of shore up this line. But most of everything I was able to successfully sea lift from Chittagong without him doing anything to stop it, really, all the way to Trincomalee. And I don't think he understood that I was doing it until it was too late. I don't think he could comprehend that I was able to do such a thing. And quickly he realized at this point that those 3 divisions and all these tank regiments and everything that he brought in here are now kind of screwed. Because I have way more forces here. I got, what, 2,500 there, 400 there, so what, that's 3,000, plus another 4,000 AV to his 1,000. And there's just no way he can hold out here. And this is a situation that the Allies find themselves in on the eve of our battle. And it's a big catch-22. Now, I want to ask you guys, what would you do? You know that if you do nothing, all the troops that you've now brought in here, now, again, he could not have known that I was going to shift everything over to Ceylon. I made that decision the second that I saw he was bringing them in. He couldn't know that, but by the time he realized what I was doing, it was kind of too late. And we had since had a chance to attrit his battleships, and a lot of his surface forces were destroyed. You recall the battleship destruction, right? We killed about 10 battleships, which was the bulk of his heavy firepower that he sent into Colombo initially. They're dead now, so he doesn't have that. His carriers, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where they're at. That's the biggest mystery to me to this point. I really do feel he had many opportunities to do a lot of damage to us with his carriers, but for whatever reason, he didn't want to get them involved here. So I made the decision to take the risk to go into Colombo this upcoming turn that you already saw and try to take these guys out, and boy did it work out. We basically destroyed every single transport that went in here. All of them were wiped out with troops aboard. But let me ask you again, this is the catch-22 for the Allies. Do you A, do absolutely nothing and leave the transports where they're at and let these troops just die? Or do you B, try to do something with what you got, send in what you got, and try to extract something out of here? And even if you get 10, 20, 30% of the troops out, it's still better than losing all of them. Or C, do you do something else? I don't even know. You tell me what that would be. Macho obviously went for option B. He decided that despite not having any heavy surface cover to commit to this, and despite him electing not to engage his carriers here, he was going to send in basically every transport and cargo ship that he had available unescorted into Colombo with the hopes of getting something out. And that was not the right choice. Something else you need to consider here. He has recon on most everything. He knows exactly what was at Trincomalee, right? He knew that I had all these ships here. This was not a surprise to him, right? He knew that Kido Butai was here. He knew I had battleships, cruisers. He knew all of it. He knew I had submarines operating here, and he decided to do it anyway. So, was that desperation? What was that? What was the motivation here? I don't really know. But this is the catch-22 that the Allies found themselves in, because I was able to quickly shift these forces out of this area and get them into Trincomalee and into the fight faster than he could organize a defense to that. Something else that you have to consider was Colombo was basically useless as an airfield for him, because I'd been bombarding it for days with my battleships. So the airfield's damaged, and you don't want to risk dropping these fighters into Colombo to protect these ships, because if I did take this, let's say I attack again next turn and I win, every aircraft that's on the ground here gets destroyed. So he cannot risk bringing fighter cover in here to Colombo to attempt to fly cap in case I struck him with my carriers. It's too risky. So that's where we're at, and this is the decision making process that the Allies had to make for this turn. So I'd love to hear it in the chat, not the chat, the comments section. If you were Macho and this was the situation you found yourself in on April 28th, knowing that I've got 4,000 AV on the island, all these aircraft, all these ships, you know I have it all. What do you do here? Do you leave all these troops here to just die, or do you try to get them out with what you got? Let me know what you think. And maybe you can give yourself a little thought exercise on this and learn from this, both from the standpoint of the Allied player and the Japanese player. If you see this happening, what do you do? Like, because he saw these ships coming in here. He knew these troops were on the way. He could have done this 2 weeks ago. He could have done this a week ago. He could have brought his carriers in to try to affect something before it got to this point, but he just didn't. So, with this information that you're armed with now, tell me what you think about it. Hopefully it gave you some better insight. Catch you guys on the next one.